Hello, welcome to Albert Rants. I'm Alberterio, and I'm back for another episode um, after a months long hiatus. So, first of all, real quick, an explanation as to why is that. Well, alam niyo naman um, kung gaano ko unstable ang aking mental health. There are times really that I could work 7 days a week straight without any pahinga. Like every single day I'm working, but there are also some days that even the slightest bit of work, I get tired and I zone out really. So well that's what happened for the past months. There has been a plethora, yes, lalem. Pero yun, maraming tasks in the past months and um it became really really hard for me to cope, and that's why there was no new content for the podcast for I think 2 or 3 months now. But hey, we're back. And also it's good to note that this actually is the second season of Albert Rad. So I'm gonna be starting from this. I am going to be staging or setting a limit as to how many episodes I'm gonna be doing for each season. Pero that's just for me to keep track of things. But for you guys, it's not gonna be of an issue really. But just to pace myself, siguro, I'm gonna be putting caps for every season. Like for this season, halimbawa, I'm gonna be doing 10 straight episodes, and then a hiatus for a bit, and then I'm back for season 3. But you wouldn't really notice it. So wag niyo na masyadong intindihin yun. But um also, I'm going back to very, very quick episodes, so I'm gonna max out the episodes to about 30 minutes because the alam naman natin listening span nating mga millennials, Gen Zers is very, very short. So the shorter the shorter the better, ika nga. So ayun. And so yeah, let's get right to it, I guess. So the last episode of the podcast was I think before or after maalin after the May 5 shutdown of ABS-CBN, before the franchise of ABS-CBN actually got killed by Congress. So ayun. And then the ironic thing is yung pinagkakaputakan nila sa ABS-CBN na foreign owned daw di umano ay pinalusot nila with the situation naman with the case of Dennis Uy and China Telecom owned ano tawag dito yung third telco dito telecommunications, which is very very nakakatawa, 'di ba? Double standards. Talaga namang pinapanindigan ng double standards. And also what has happened in the past months, bukod doon marami naging arrests. There was the arrest of Pride 20. I don't know if I covered that here. There was the killing of uh, Alvarez and Porquia and Randy Achanis, who are human rights advocates or if not peasant defenders. So mostly progressive leaders are getting killed. And what else? A lot of impunity has happened. Ito lang recently lang si the man who must be named, yung kamukha ng mga trolls sa Frozen. Um, nag-file siya ng basta nag-file siya ng something sa Supreme Court, asking uh, to nullify yata the Republic Act which named the Manila International Airport as or after Ninoy Aquino. So ayun, tas in-interview siya, tas wala siyang mask, girl. I mean, girl. May pandemic tayo, girl, at lagi na tayong pinapaalalahanan na be the solution. Oo, na kalalabas lang yata nung June. Oo. Starring Alden Richards. Oo, be the solution at ang isa dun ay wear your mask. Oo, 'di ba? Kapag lumalabas ng bahay, bawal ang hindi naka-mask. And ang naging reaction ng PNP is like, "Well, hayaan niyo na, warning muna." Pero hindi naman yun yung binigay nila kay Randy Achanis, 'di ba? Parang saksak ka agad, torture ka agad, gano'n. Pero ayun. And if you come to think of it, medyo nakakaano siya eh, nakaka-overwhelm. And that's actually what happened to me in the past few months. I was a bit overwhelmed. There was this there were these points in time that I would literally just try it. If I try to peek at my phone, if I try to log on Twitter, for example, and since marami akong pina-follow na news accounts, so at the moment I log on Twitter, most probably yung unang lalabas na tweet is from a news source, and then I would immediately log off. Like, there was this time na I completely isolated myself from information about society, which is a very, very privileged thing to do. And I'm actually I'm actually a bit ashamed. Medyo sumasama na siya. Sumama yung pakiramdam ko looking back at it. Pero ayun. What matters now is we get to the root of the problem. I mean, totohanin na natin sino ba talaga yung problema natin? Bakit ba nangyayari yung mga kagaguhan sa lipunan natin ngayon? And um it all boils down to who's the one in power, 'di ba? Kasi kasi lagi naman gano'n eh kahit nga sa group works eh, 'di ba? If the group, for example, is not doing good or did not good in a task, it all boils down to whoever's leading it. So well, in this case, since the government has been very, very incompetent with their COVID-19 response, it all boils down to who's the one in power. Because siya yung, siya yung nagmamando ng lahat. He is the leader. He's supposed to lead. And what is he doing? He's just giving us weekly late night proof of life press conferences in which he does not actually, or he sometimes gives out plans, but that happens once in a blue moon. Mostly giving us only tirades against his critics, patutsada sa mga kalaban niya sa politika, 'di ba? And come to think of it, this is the very politician that he promised he would not be when he was campaigning during the 2016 elections, 'di ba? Tandaan niyo, I can still remember because at one point in time I actually supported whoever is leading us now, and I completely regret that. Um, I can still remember one of his campaign propaganda siguro is that he is not a trapo, he's not a traditional politician. So, syempre maraming kakagat dun kasi we've been so sick and tired of this current system that we had then, full of traditional politicians who, instead of being proactive or being or having a foresight as to what could we do as a nation, is instead being reactive. So kapag lang may dumating na problema, saka lang tutugunan. And that's very trapo. Ang anong pakinggan, ang konyong pakinggan, but that's very trapo. And then here comes a newbie. Well, not really a newbie because he's been in politics for God knows how long in Davao City. But here comes a new face on a national scale, and he promises us that he will not be trapo. And being surrounded by familiar faces such as Grace Poe, who else was running then? Jejo Marbina, Areco, Jejo Marbinay, Mar Rojas, Miriam Defensor Santiago. These are all familiar faces in politics, and this one guy is not. So it really was, well, at the start of the campaign when the slate was first announced, it really people were really gravitated to this new guy who promises that he would not be like the others. He would not be he would not become one of his predecessors. But as it turns out, darating at darating din talaga ang panahon na walang sikretong hindi na maitatago at lahat ng sikreto ay mapupunyag. And well, the COVID-19 pandemic really did that. I mean, you see a lot of people who have been, for the lack of a better term, converted and shifted perspective as to how they're viewing the leadership of this current leader that we have. And really, it's just a wolf in sheep's clothing. Ika nga. It's a trapo in sheep's clothing. He is he is almost also the same as the others, as his predecessors, if not worse. And I mean worse in numerous levels. And just to name a few, with this drug war, more people have been killed than casualties of martial law. Our debt, well, our debt is ballooning, and it is projected to be at 10 trillion pesos by year end of 2020. So that means if there are supposedly or estimating 100 million Filipinos, each of us, every one of those 100 million Filipinos has to pay 100,000 pesos each. That's a rough estimate. Yung mas correct yata is around 80,000 to 90,000 pesos. But still, all those, imagine you're going to pay 80,000 pesos for services that you barely receive, if you even receive it at all. Diba? I mean, have have you received any form of aid? Now I know that some of you guys are really, really privileged rich kids who can afford to live and have the means of surviving this pandemic because maybe and I'm not shaming you for that. I mean that you're lucky is what I'm saying because you are not experiencing the inequality of the system. But given that you come from that point of or you come from that position, it is only imperative. So it is only imperative of you to sympathize or empathize. It's actually the proper term. Sympathize or empathize. I don't know. But yung ano lang, be sensitive. And that's also gonna be one of the topics in a future episode, being sensitive. Pero ayun, let's go back. Where does the problem or why does the problem exist? It's because the one at the top is actually rotting. So it's not actually the top. Well, he's the top official. Pero he is also at the same time as being the top official, he is also the root of the problem. So, 'di ba? Kung halimbawa, ipipicture out natin siya bilang isang halaman. Ang Pilipinas ay isang halaman at tayo ang mga sanga. Tayo ang mga sanga, tayo ang mga dahon, 'di ba? Kung yung ugat natin ay ano tawag dito? Kung yung ugat natin ay naghihirap or bulok na siya, 'di ba? Hindi rin naman mamamatay din yung puno. And that's exactly what we're experiencing right now. The top officials are the roots of the problem. And being the roots of the problem, they suck. They really, really suck. I mean, imagine we have amassed, I think, from what we researched, trillions of pesos. I mean, trillions of pesos, and then every single week we're gonna hear from that leader, we don't have money. Bitch, we don't have money. Bitch, we have. I mean, trillion trillion piso na yung nasa atin. Ano pa bang pera ang gusto nyong hot-hotin sa amin? 'Di ba? So, ayun. Siguro, the thing is, masyado siyang egotistic. Alam niyo yun? Masyado mataas yung ego niya na hindi niya matanggap siguro. Well, this comes from my perspective na hindi niya siguro matanggap na wala siyang wala siyang wala siyang kwenta. Literal kasi I rarely feel his presence. Sa totoo lang. And that's coming from me who is an avid consumer of news. I mean, I watch news channels more than I watch uh, Fox movies or other channels on television. I'm more glued actually to rolling special coverages, and I cannot feel his presence walang nagtitimon. Yon, girl. Oo, mismo walang nagtitimon, oo. Narinig ko lang yun nung isang araw, ang ganda niyang word, ang ano lang, ang tapang nung dating. Pero ayun, walang nagtitimon sa'tin, walang namumuno, walang nagdidirect kung saan tayo pupunta. And kung walang nagdidirect sa atin, kung kumbaga sa isang teleserye, ay ano tayo, bababa yung ratings natin. And I don't know how we can, I don't know if this is even recoverable. If it's recoverable under the same leadership that we have right now, not unless they would man up and admit their mistakes, their shortcomings, their incompetency, eh wala tayong mararating. I'm so sorry. But there is always that one way. And I think you know what I'm talking about. And that's it for this episode. Thank you for listening, and I do hope that you enjoy. Again, it's these episodes are gonna be shorter than usual because of the of the current generation's very short attention span. But I do hope that you still continue to gain insight. Again, I am not here to dictate to you what you must believe in, but if you do believe in what I believe in, then that's okay. Pero if not, siguro ano na lang, uh, broaden your perspective or be sensitive na lang. And again, that's another topic that we will be discussing in this season. Yes, season. Yes naman. In this season of Albert Rants. So I do hope that you stick around for the next few weeks, more episodes to come your way. And wala, yun lang. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.